Fox moving target?
No, I took an auto track.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Wow, look at it fly.
Hey, it's Don. This is back on the UFO topic today. I've put up like 1,400 plus videos between this channel and my other channel. I only have like 20 on here. I've been doing videos for over 3 years, like 3.5 years. The UFO video, the last one I put up, the first and only UFO video I put up, is totally off topic for anything I do. I was honestly more nervous about that one than any other video I've ever put up in my life on YouTube. In my free time, I write for stuff. I ghostwrite for somebody. I write for E-commerce Bytes, which is a major platform or major blog post for reselling, which is my business. My business isn't doing UFO videos or anything like that whatsoever. Really wasn't sure if I was going to put one up. I put a video up because I brought up my UFO sighting probably a year or more ago on my other channel on a live show. And ever since then, I've been hit up by people who are subscribers and who I've talked to before to do a video. That's why I did a video. I do have a representation to show, so I've had a lot of people say, well, why didn't you show something about what it looked like? Again, I had no intent to do a whole bunch of stuff. I just did a normal video as I normally do, covering the topic of something I saw in the woods. Let's just get out the first few things, the first questions that were asked over and over again. Where did it happen? We were up in St. Mark's area, if you know where that's at. It's a very historical area. We were southeast of St. Mark's. We were on the left side of the highway if you are heading north, if that helps out. The ocean, well, the Gulf Coast wasn't very far off, the actual coast itself. We were searching some of the old Spanish roads up there. There's a Spanish fort not too far, like 6-8 miles or so from where we were at. I don't remember the name of the fort, but it has a Spanish name to it. There was a lot of settlement sites. We were metal detecting up in those areas. Someplace I've been a couple times there, plus all over that area up there, because there's all types of trading posts and all sorts of things. It's one of the few areas you can find hand-hammered Spanish coins in this country. Something I've always dreamed about finding. So that's where we were at to answer that question there. Again, I am not a UFO guy or anything like that. I am totally stuck on following it since the 2017 report from a pilot. You know, and I had some other questions on that too. Why didn't I get into it before? Why all of a sudden with the pilot coming out? Well, the incident happened in, 30 years ago, and life, I didn't have YouTube to look up videos or see anything like that. There wasn't stuff like that around. So, I just went on. I didn't occupy my whole life or anything like that. I spent 6 years in college. I've married. I have 2 kids that are now teenagers. I'm more stable now. The news came on, and that changed everything. Why did it change? What I saw was an isolated incident, and from what I could say, just some strange thing. If I tell a police officer, that was another question. Did you report? Who would I report it to? It just didn't ring a bell. I figured somebody would think we're crazy. Telling friends that I've known for a while and family members, totally different story. So it didn't strike me until the description in 2017 was what set it off, because it matches what I saw. And the fact that somebody else saw it, the same basic description that I saw, is what kind of said, wow, it's the same thing. I mean, if it was just some other object or something, I probably wouldn't be as, fixated on the whole UAP issue. But it's the same thing, the exact same physical shape design of what we saw. Now, again, somebody's going to know what it looks like. I've done HO scale models for years. This is one that I actually did. If you are into trains, you'll know what this is, the sizes and all this stuff. When I was a kid, we still have actually in my mom's house an HO scale train set. So since I was like 7 or 8, I've messed with this stuff. I resell too. So I made a model of what I saw quite a few years ago, well before this incident came out from 2017. This is literally what I saw. Now, from a distance, I just saw a orb bouncing around. It was just bouncing around in the sky, and that's all that it was. It wasn't just bouncing around. It looked like it was skipping on the water or something. Like if I skip a stone, it had that same weird movement, and it was fixated or locked. It only went from like one spot to another spot in that range. Now, it got bigger and smaller at some points, and I figured it was doing this. So, you know, it looked like an orb. Had it not gotten closer to us, I wouldn't have thought anything else other than it was some weird orb bouncing around. The movements reminded me of back in the 80s, we went to Niagara Falls with the family, and somewhere up there we went through Quebec and a whole bunch of places and traveled around in Canada as a family, me, my parents, and my brother. And we went to it was like a skydive test tunnel or something like that. My father was in the military years ago and stuff, and we got to see this thing. You could pay. It was expensive back then. We didn't do it, but it was neat to see. And it reminded me of being locked in like a tube, what the object actually itself did. Now, the people, I'll show you a comparison. Now, these are vintage sets. This is something I sell. So this isn't something I went out and got. I sell this kind of stuff because it goes for good money. This was done in 8-show scale so that the figures that you see are comparable to what I would be in size comparison to what I saw. When it was over the trees and doing that bouncing, we watched it for 2 or 3 minutes, maybe, something like that. I wasn't timing it, but I would have to imagine it was 2 or 3 minutes. And then when it was over us, I could see under it, and it was lit. There was no shadows on the bottom, nothing whatsoever. So the bottom of the thing was as bright as the top, the sides, and the front. Then when it did a weird, in fact, I think it was turning more like this. There are some things on the bottom that I saw, but I don't know if I saw them or if they were visible when it was just sitting over the trees or not. When I saw them is when it did a move, and, well, let me get it back in the shot here. What I saw them was when it did a move, and it turned and pointed like it was pointing up. And then from there, it just totally disappeared. It was like it wasn't there anymore. That's the gist of what I saw and what happened. It was maybe 3.5, 4 minutes at best, the whole entire experience. It was quiet, as I said, when it was there for those 20 or 30 seconds. When it was gone, I don't know if there was any sound after that. I wasn't thinking about that. We just said, let's go, and that was about it. Maybe there was, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about that after what I saw, as it was so close. I have no motive to put this out there. It's something I've talked about with my family, with people, for quite some time. As I said, I don't do videos on YouTube for UFOs. I don't do anything like that. It's art on this channel. I got like 20 videos up here, and that's it. The other channel I have has over 1,000. That is what I've done for over 3 years, 3.5 years, talking about what I do for a living. Again, I've got a master's degree. I write for a very well-known, very well-respected major e-commerce blog post that talks about reselling. I write for them. I do stuff like that for a living. That's what I do. I centered in on research and communication with my degree, my master's degree. It's not in my forte to talk about UFOs ever before. It's not something I had ever planned, and even doing a second one when I first put it out. Again, I expected to get a whole bunch of just nut job comments and stuff like that. I did get a few. Surprisingly enough, I got probably less than I get on some of my videos on reselling, which is crazy that's the case. But my other channel, as I said, The Auction Professor, is literally about reselling on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Discogs, Hip, and all sorts of other platforms out there. How to make money, and it's honest truth on what I do, values. I talk a lot about antiques and collectibles. This is totally off stream on what I'm doing and anything else in my life. That experience and the fact that somebody else saw something similar had me dig into it more. So back when this first happened, there wasn't a big source. I'd have to go to a library and spend hours trying to dig up and stuff like that. Oh, one more thing before I forget about that too. I had a lot of questions on the video. I said it was on a TV show. We were living in Claremont, Florida at the time. We had a Claremont, Florida address. I did have cable. What was in the video is the orb part of it. It is not filmed close at all. But it was the exact same time frame where we were up there, where we saw what we saw. It was in the same area. It basically was exactly what we saw as the orb bouncing around in the sky, locked into a certain area of whatever it was moving in, and doing weird bounces and movements. That's what the video showed. It showed something kind of dancing around the sky in a small area over the woods in the same exact space. I don't have no clue what the show was called. I couldn't even tell you what was on cable back then. I haven't had cable or anything like that in at least 17, 18 years. So I've cut the cable years and years ago. I don't spend time digging into this stuff. I've spent maybe an hour, maybe two, looking for it recently since 2017, and I just gave up because it's not going to change anything. I know what I saw, and end of story. Whatever I look, whatever I find from someone else, unless they're going to show me what I saw, that it's, say, a government or something, nothing else is going to solve it for what I want to know. I want to know what it was. The fact that somebody else saw it, and after digging into it, there are some records of other people seeing the same basic shape as well. So it goes back for quite some time, the same object. Now, I never said it was aliens. I don't know what it is. It just isn't something from my expertise, from what I've seen and experienced in my actual life, that anything that we have technology-wise could have done. Take it as you want. Maybe they're, another civilization living under the oceans or something, or, who knows? I don't know. Interdimensional or truly someone from somewhere else. I don't know. I don't want to conject on that. That's not the point. I'm just giving you what I saw, truth, word for word, exactly what the experience was. It was 4 minutes or so. It took place max, the whole experience. And then I went on with my life. We talked about it. It was a bar story I've told friends, relatives and stuff like that too. And that's the end of it. I don't know where else to go with the story itself. Until 2017. So I probably will pop up another video or something on some of the other things going around as more information maybe comes out. I'm really surprised at all the interest the last video got. That's the experience. Creepy, weirded out, whatever you want to call it, that was the experience. Other than that, that was it. There was no weird aliens. There wasn't any weird feelings. I didn't lose any time or anything else like that. We just left and went about with our life from that point. And that was the end of it pretty much. So anyway, that's about it. I just thought I would shoot that out there. Take it again how you want. Believe it, don't believe it. Whatever you want to take on it, that's what happened. And my want is to just know what it was. If it's a government, vehicle or something they've been working on secretly for over 30 years and it's been able to be hidden for 30 years, fine. As odd as that is believable, I don't believe that would be possible for 30 years, but if that's the case, just show it to us and we'll be done and we'll move on, If another country has this technology, they would be dominating the globe. They wouldn't be putting a space station up. There would be no need. They wouldn't be trying to steal, other countries steal our data and corporate secrets, trying to figure out our technology. They would already have something that would surpass anything we have already if that was the case. It would be impractical. We wouldn't be sending a little tiny helicopter to Mars if we had some of this technology. And the reports that I've seen, government actual full-fledged reports from 1947 released by the Freedom of Information Act, shows our government has had descriptions of the same basic thing that I saw going way, way back to the 40s and 50s. So it's not some new thing. This isn't some story I'm just throwing out there out of nowhere. Again, I've talked about this on my other channel at least a year ago. It could have been even longer than that ago. It's not something that I just brought up. Again, I've talked about it with friends, family, since the time it happened, since the day we got home from the experience. So, that was the first thing I told my wife, the very first thing. And I'm sure it was the very first thing my friend told his wife back in those days too. So anyway, that's about it. Take it for what it is. Appreciate you following and watching my videos. Again, if you want to know about reselling or anything like that, that's what I do. That's my other channel, and that's what I write about on blog posts as well.